Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast in our channel, Genuine with Mandra. And this is our second podcast. Yay!
Second episode, everybody.
My name is Jenny Francisco, and I'm the host and producer of this podcast. I'm also a
And
freelance story creator, and here with me is.
I'm Alexander Mandrajiv. Hey, everybody.
And he's a freelance cinematic illustrator. At the moment, we both work in Disney Marvel. And our goal for this podcast is to connect with other artists and creators that have the same passion on the craft of storytelling. So, Alex, how is your day? Tell me about your life update.
Life updates. Well, we just finished with Lightbox not so long ago. That was pretty. That was a
Dope.
pretty dope experience.
Dope.
No, it was very eventful, and there were so many people. It was great to see everybody in person. I'm teaching a class called Keyframe Illustration. I was very fortunate to also see some of the students that are in my class, the ones that were able to make it to Lightbox, as well as meet with some old friends, I reunited with like friends I knew from art center, from my college days at Lightbox.
Oh, wow.
And for those of you who don't know what Lightbox is, it's an art convention for everybody that's in the concept art or animation industry, or as just as an artist in general, even really actually anybody who wants to could attend it.
So, what was your
But
experience?
it was kind of surreal and mentally exhausting by the end of it. I was part of a panel, a talk, along with co-workers, and we talked about our experience in the live action film industry as concept artists. We went in not knowing what we were going to be asked or talk about, but it sort of slowly built up, and it got pretty interesting because everybody had very different takes and opinions and experiences to share. So it was interesting.
Yeah, I noticed the questions are pretty personal, less technical, and the crowd seems to really love it. So that's
Yeah, that
cool.
was
Yeah.
great.
So,
But
how's
this
the
was
first time experiencing portfolio review in Lightbox?
strangely enough, it felt different from my other experiences through my class. I'm getting artists that are of a different genre and goal through in their career. Like some were showing me animation geared character designs, and some were showing me props, and I was trying to just give my honest and most open-minded opinion on anything that they were asking me for. They time you, like they give you just 10 minutes. So like they sit in front of you and they show you their portfolio either on a laptop or an iPad. Sometimes they bring it printed out, and so you could flip through it, but I had mainly digital portfolios, and there were some that had storyboards asking, what can they do to break it to do more, or to break into the industry doing storyboards or keyframes. That, and then the last day at Lightbox, I did a demo, which was like an hour and 15 minutes at my school's booth. They had Concept Design Academy had a booth, and the key binds were different. So when I was painting, I was sort of forcing myself to think simple and clear, and just use the tools to the most basic, like primal methods. And people were asking questions. It was sort of like an improvisational demo. To wrap up the Lightbox thing, I got to I got an art book from Helen Chen and Ryan Lang, and I got 3 small art books from Justin Sweet, which was incredible.
So, your overall, if there's an overall feeling that you could sum up, what would it be?
I mean, there's so I can't. It's so hard. I want to say a blurry artistic dream. There was so much that happened, and for the most part, I would just interact with people that I'd run into, and they and oh, on top of that, it was like a mask mandatory thing, so it was really hard to recognize people sometimes.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people, especially on the second day. It was so many people.
Mm.
Holy moly!
Did you get to do everything you wanted to do?
I mean, I I think my plans flew out the window. The only plans I really had were to accomplish, the obligations I had, and everything else was just like, well, I'll roll with it. The fun stuff was also afterwards, like when you and I would go out for dinner, because it was a breath of fresh air. It was kind of away from all those people in one place, and we would just go and have some nice Italian or sushi. That was really fun.
Mm.
And at one point, it started to rain. That was nice. There were moments where I'm like, oh my god, I'm so tired, and the day's almost over. There were moments like that. I'm sure a lot of people felt like that. You know what I would have done better, or for next time, I guess, is to probably be a bit more aware of who's there. I wanted to meet Craig Mullins, but he unfortunately couldn't be there.
Yeah.
I also bumped into James Gurney, he's a painter, a legend.
Amazing painter, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, a
really
YouTube
cool.
channel.
Yes, yeah, really, really cool YouTube channel. You can learn a lot from it.
I'm just gonna continue what you were saying about Lightbox,
Oh,
and
okay.
it could be applied to any social event. I know a lot of people are going to this in hopes to network and to learn and also to buy merch. I feel like those are the three main ones, right? That's why they're going
Yeah.
there. And it's also been a while since we had this public convention for anyone that's, you know, uh, personally want to meet their inspiration.
It's
No, they want to meet their idols or
idols, heroes. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And I always have this thing when I go to live or in-person events. I tend to be more than just wanting to do small talk. I don't want to be in this just in the surface. I kind of want to go deeper. And because of that, I tend to probably shoot myself in the foot because that's
Mhm.
not their intention. Their intention is to network, and my intention is to be some kind of like, meet a friend, someone that I could connect with in a deeper level. How do you approach like meeting new people? Do you have any like approach or even desire to do that?
You know what? I was gonna just say, I think you're better than me at doing that. Like meeting people. I suck at that. It's probably because you come from a different perspective. A lot of them probably because they're there to get insight or attempt to break through the door of the industry. I'd like to think that a lot of people there are not really in chill mode to be able to just like socialize in a down to earth way. They are trying to sort of be presentational to people and professional. And so I would say like there's that vibe going through from person to person sometimes, and that's totally okay. I mean, you kind of want to do that,
Yeah. I mean,
but
it's not a
and it makes
bad
it
thing what they're
it's
doing.
not.
I understand where they're coming from. They
Yeah.
need work. They want to put themselves out there. They need to put their name out there. So it's great. It's a very business minded, you know, like just attack the goal. I'm not in that position, so I
Yeah, me like
understand. And I just like let them do their thing. I don't want to like hey wait, I'm still talking to you. Come back here. I'm not gonna do that, of course. But if they talk to me and then they leave, you're like okay, they're not interested. It's fine. I still hope they get what they want, their ultimate goal, and I wish at the end of the week, they're happy in what they accomplished.
and that's not to say that they were unfriendly ever. It's just more like artists in general, a lot of the time are like reserved and can be awkward, and a lot of artists are shy, nervous. Because we take in a lot of criticism a lot of the time, and sometimes we can't take in criticism well, or sometimes we're broken and we're tired, and like who knows. All I'm saying is it's an interesting convention of different mindset of people that are geared towards like we're all there, and it's a mixture of you would almost think like everybody would be bonding instantly. It's like, yeah, we're all artists here and go, and we all click, but it's not like that. It's still very human, and it's still,
Visualized.
when I'm there, I feel like a kid in a candy store or like or in Disneyland, and I'm just like, I don't know where to just walking around, stumbling. It's like, oh, hey, you. I literally had a moment where I'm like walking around and someone's been waving at me, and it's like, Alex, Alex, and I'm like just staring past them because I'm out of it, or I don't recognize them, or I just didn't see. I don't know where I'm looking. My mind is drifting while I'm drifting. So
You're not in your you like to wander.
I literally wonder what while I'm wondering.
That's the way. We are the way. What is that in Mandalorian? This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This
This is
is
the
the
way.
way.
This is the way.
All right. So now moving on to our next segment. It's showtime, folks. Showtime.
Showtime.
Showtime. So, what have you been watching?
What have I been watching? I tried to watch Doctor Sleep, and that's a horror film.
Fell asleep. You tried to watch Doctor Sleep, but then you fell asleep. So
Well, it almost happened. Yeah, I couldn't get through it. But it's supposed to be, a sequel to The Shining, which is one of my favorite horror films of all time.
what year was that?
Oh, Doctor Sleep.
Doctor Sleep.
I'm gonna shoot in the dark and just say 2017.
Oh,
Yeah, it's cool. They did play homage to like the original set.
so what's so cool about it that you had to go back to watch it and fall asleep?
Well, I didn't go back to watch it. I only watched it once and I couldn't finish it. But I got
Oh.
through some scenes that
Oh,
were,
so you never watched it before. This is your first time watching it.
yeah, But I'll try to finish it, I guess. It's not a
How do
terrible
you like
film,
it?
but it's okay.
It's
It's not-
okay. It's
it's not
worth
bad.
watching.
Sure.
Okay.
And I watched the really cheesy old school horror film Friday the 13th, the final chapter. And Chris Ben Glover is in it, and he does a crazy dance. I tried to watch that because
You tried to watch the dance so you could learn it, so you could dance during the podcast. Let me see. How was the dance?
some weird like there's some weird dance he's doing to like
Looks like
80s
seizure
music.
dance.
Yeah, it literally. Oh my god, check out that scene. We'll probably put the scene in right now. You'll see. I'm not making it up. But yeah,
Whoa. Whoa, look at the dance.
yeah, it was such an awkward moment too in that. Yeah, that was just a funny thing. I also didn't completely pay attention to the film because it just kind of it's just a bunch of
Because you're too
serial
scared.
killer scared. Yeah, so I watched that. Nothing to say about that one. It's just I wanted to see what the buzz was about. People were saying, "Oh, that's the best Friday the 13th."
Mm,
Um, the highest rank. I'm like, whatever, let's check it out. And I watched it. I'm like, I could see why, but it's it's whatever. And the
and then,
best thing was was Barry. We both were watching Barry, but Barry, I love Barry. We're now watching season 3, and man, that show is amazing. I don't want to spoil anything, but I love how it's edited. I love how the performances are in it. It's so good.
yeah.
It's so good. What about you? What have you
So
been watching?
I watched 2 movies, and the first one is Everything Everywhere All at Once, but directed by Dan Kwan and Daniel Sienert. Ugh. And
That
they
sounded
also,
backwards.
yeah,
Schneert.
backwards play. And they also wrote, so they directed and wrote that
Oh, cool.
movie. And guess what? Who the producer is? Someone you know from your work. And it is
Oh,
the two Russo, Anthony Russo and Joe Russo are the
oh, cool.
producers.
Yeah.
So that,
Russo.
and I also watched RRR. RRR is a
Oh, is that a pirate movie?
R. No, it's an Indian film, and the writers, directors are all from India, or they're Indians, and it's subtitled. The cool thing about these 2 movies, they have some similarities. They're both action. They have like a kung fu style. I bet it's not kung fu that they're using, but it's the way they kick and spin and do their
Hmm.
stunts is very kung fu-ish, if that's a word.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
And
especially in Everything Everywhere, that is kind
yeah,
of like Shaolin Kung Fu.
mm,
It's
yeah, I
close.
could show you a clip here, the RRR kung fu stylish, fighting scenes, and they're all for sure choreographed like any fighting scene. It's nicely choreographed. And there's special effects. Both of them have that like magical special effects. Um, and they both have like an ethnic cultural background that they base their story out of to, make the flow be interesting. So Everything Everywhere All at Once has that Chinese cultural background, right? And then RRR is of course, Indian
The Indian
Indian
culture.
background culture. The interesting part is when you meet the main characters, it's very intriguing. You want to know what their journey is going to be all about. They're both start very strong as a like a villainish, mysterious shot of them. You see just her feet like walking, and then
Mm,
the back
mm,
of a shot of
mm.
her back. While the other one, RRR, it's a shot of a side view, so you can't really see his face yet, but you see his movement being very like determined, like in your face, kind of charging. Yeah, a shot also of his back. You see what they're seeing, the obstacle that's in their way. You see his face with fire, and he looks very scary.
You're literally describing the movie scene by scene.
No,
That's
that's it. I'm
incredible.
just saying how they're introduced, and they're introduced with a like a striking, like evilish, but yet that's the beginning. But yet you get to know them better, and they're actually nice people. They
Oh,
come
that's
from
cool.
a humble beginning, or they come from a like a genuine kindness.
Human.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can't. They kind of don't want to show it. They're kind of resistant about it, but which is interesting
That's
that
cool.
both of it is
That sounds
doing that.
that sounds really good.
Yeah.
Is it really called RRR?
A capital R and a capital R, capital R.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting title. Well, but editing and cinematography, music, it's all good. Does it?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the style is like everything everywhere.
Oh,
all at
everything.
once.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
there's a similar style to it.
It sounds like a cool show. I definitely would want to watch that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the two movies I watched, and I also watched a TV series on Netflix, Missing the Other Side. Missing.
Oh, cool.
I didn't see this before. It feels like it's new on Netflix, but it's been out in Korea since 2020. It's new in Netflix. There's no reviews yet. So it must be new in Netflix. Once again, saying that one more time. Just
It must be new in
you're
Netflix.
in Netflix.
Never seen it before, but it's new in Netflix, so it must be new in Netflix. Just because it says new on Netflix, so it's gotta be new.
It's a Korean show, and
Korean cinema lately
Yeah.
has been just wow,
really
really good.
chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss, indeed.
They're very creative. I think it's perfect for Halloween.
Yeah.
Because it's a fantasy thriller based in this mysterious blah blah. I don't know if I should say it, but
Yeah.
it's in the synopsis. It's in the Wikipedia. So I don't know if you want to read it. It's
Don't spoil it for yourself. Just go and watch it.
what I like about that show. It has great cliffhangers. Cliffhangers that you just want to watch the next one and the next one and the next. Their cliffhangers are pretty good.
You literally binged that. I
Yeah.
remember I was working and I could hear you like going from episode to episode. I'm like, wow, that's a lot.
Okay, next segment. What's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
Tell me what's in the box.
What's in the box for me is you. So
Can
what's
I
in the
fit
box for you?
Is in the box is our little kitty. No, I was kidding.
Yeah, that's right. That's
She loves
awesome.
going in the box. Can I come in, Kissy? Hi. Can I come in? Oh, I guess I can't. Oh, you changed your mind? I can come in? Hmm?
Oh man, she loves boxes.
I just have an article here that would probably help story creators like us who love story. And the article is by Script Magazine. It's a very known magazine, online website.
Scriptmag.
They're talking about 5 things readers wish every writer knew. It could be like viewers or audience when they watch something, they hope that the writers knew this before while they're creating it. You could also implement this for artists, like if you want to catch the eye of producers or directors to make them approve your designs, like for approval, you have to know what they're looking for, right?
Yeah.
The first one is less is more. Don't give like a laundry list of items. Just tell them how it feels. Don't put too much detail. And it's better to just show the feeling, to tell them the feeling as you show what the character's doing in whatever you're trying to accomplish in your story. If you're telling them about where your character lives, what is the one thing that goes to illustrating who they are? Anyway, yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, that's great. I love that. You've been like words of wisdom lately. like
This is coming
golden
from I'm just reading it. So
Sure,
I
but
think that's
even
like
from
being
you, like the
muddy,
other
isn't
day, you
it?
were yeah, it's kind of like don't be muddy, I guess, with your thoughts, or like it's more about
Have a center of focus or
center of focus and look at the
focal
big
point.
picture. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's good.
Yeah, and it's better to show the personality of what
I guess
what
because
it
we can
feels.
relate
Yeah,
as viewers.
I guess a
It's
good
best to
example
relate.
of kind of what this is like. Do you see the character in a cheap motel room having a drink alone and just in his undies?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's just smoking away, and you see that feeling of depression and or
Depression or a loneliness, or
mm,
yeah, makes you wonder what his life is.
versus too much details on the carnival and the lighting and the color and all that, and you're missing the point of his sadness. Like you didn't even
Right,
show
right.
his facial or
You're
his
breezing over, yeah, you're breezing
body
over
gesture.
like his actual character to describe everything else and the details of the things around him. I guess that makes sense. Yeah, it's good to focus in on the main
Feeling.
thing that's carrying the story. Yeah.
Next tip is when you create a scene or draw a keyframe of a scene, you have to know the purpose of this design that would bring the plot forward, to advance the plot or convey character. The best do both at the same time. If you outline or before you start writing a scene, try this experiment. Add a single phrase that sums up the focus of the scene.
That's
What do you
cool.
think?
Yeah.
Yeah,
These are
mhm.
these
Because if you're
I was just
drawing,
going to say
go ahead.
go ahead, please. I don't mean to.
What was I saying? Oh my gosh. Do you remember what you were gonna say?
Yeah,
Okay, what
I
were you?
do. I was gonna say, these things sound easy or simple on paper, but they're actually often forgotten and skipped over. Because as people, we tend to like always fall into and focus in on details. And,
Mm. So for
but yeah,
example, if your boss says, "Oh, um, make the scene uh what's an example?" Make the character be, what did you say before, like you they can't move, like paralyzed. Paralyzed, right?
paralyzed.
An example,
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah.
paralyzed. So you're gonna draw the scene. So it could be anything. It could be like numerous paralysis of a character, but you have
Right.
to go in a focused storytelling of the scene. What's the purpose of this paralysis? Why is this character paralyzed? So that you know what to draw, you know how to design the scene. If the purpose of the paralysis is to make the character not wanna go forward with what the Jedi gave him, that you're this is you are Luke. You have like higher things that you're supposed to do, and you have to learn the Force. You have to pass these
Sure. Yeah.
tests and our training. Knowing that you can't just draw any paralysis, he can't move that ship up out of the, what is that, like
Out
out
of
of
the swamp.
swamp,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he's so frustrated that he just dropped it, and he just, did he fall to the ground and
N-
knock
no.
the the ground. Just kidding. No, didn't do that. But he felt
He gave
disappointed.
up.
Still,
Yeah,
yeah,
he was
like
he
there's
was
a
giving
word
up
for
on
this.
himself.
No, like a fail. He felt like his
Defeated.
failure. Yeah, defeated, and his actions showed it.
In terms of like expressing the idea of paralysis, we're going into a more like metaphorical idea of paralysis. It's not literal. It's like saying, "Oh, he feels stuck or
I mean,
paralyzed,"
he
right?
that defeat is the purpose. He feels so paralyzed. Question and answer portion.
Oh boy, yeah.
Questiones. The questiones. Questions. Question. I have a question. If you have a question that you want to feature in our podcast, please message Alexander Mandrajiv in Instagram. So we're just gonna continue the questions that we couldn't continue the first podcast from Adon Henry Art. What would you say was the best practice that helped you get to where you are now, skill wise?
The basics of drawing a lot of figures in live drawing workshops, landscape paintings in gouache, and also digital on laptop or iPad, and film studies, doing a lot of film studies. Yeah, that's what I did for a long time. And of course, I mean, when I say basics of drawing with figure drawing, it's also learning perspective and all that, and composition. I mean, so everything, drawing and painting, everything.
But best, what's the best practice?
I think to
Film
I
studies.
I would say painting and film studies. Yeah.
Okay. Next question from Drawing Good 27. Would you ever consider making an art of book with all of your beautiful work? I'd buy.
Wow. Well, thank you that you would buy. I that is a thing that is sort of in process, little by little, brick by brick. Yes, we uh we have considered it, and yeah.
Okay, next question from Colin Kurngut. No, wait. From Colin Kur. XN at the end.
Okay,
Do you think using the color picker is cheating?
that's interesting. Um, no, nope.
No. Why? Just kidding. He didn't ask.
Why?
Didn't ask what.
Yeah.
Next question from Kleptor At. How to practice cinematic painting as a beginner without having to pay for a class?
Um, Film studies, do film studies,
Film studies.
and then apply what you gain out of that to your own to personal work.
So, how
Like
do you
literally,
apply film studies?
well, you do enough film studies, you sort of gain a sensibility for that type of cinematic composition, lighting, grouping and values, simplicity, the graphic shapes, all that. And you when you do personal work, sort of make that this the vibe and the style that you pick up, from, because everybody sort of interprets and sees movies in a different way. It's not like there's things that you will feel differently from how another artist will. So yeah.
Okay. Next question from Richard Sigamani. Don't have any questions as of now, but super excited for your next podcast, Alexander.
Oh, cool.
Thank
Well,
you.
here
High
we are.
five.
Thank you. Hopefully you've enjoyed this one.
Next, from TTS Art 9. AI can paint better than us a as an active worker in the industry. What do you think about it?
I mean, I think that statement is a little interesting. I would have to say that AI can paint as well as the artist it feeds on, I should say it generates art that looks like it's been painted by somebody else or the AI itself. I think it's an interesting tool to learn how to use, and
It's probably good
and
for a beginner, right? Like maybe the other question that he was asking, how could you learn cinematic composition as a beginner? Probably AI could help them. No,
no,
no.
no, because AI is uh, it- it's more of like a, think about it as like a filter that gets stuff put through it, and something random and new comes out on the other end.
Mm.
And
You can't learn
it
from that.
it emulates. I think you can learn in a painter mindset. I think you can learn indication from something like that. But I feel like if you truly want to learn the craft properly, you have to do it from the old masters,
Yes.
the way they actually thought about it, because the thought process behind AI right now, unless you're a person that's programming it and knows exactly the ins and outs behind it, is a mystery to us as artists. Like, how the hell does it collect all the images and pump out a new image based on the prompt that you're giving? So I think, people are probably saying, "Oh, this thing paints better than us." It's actually not. It's it it's spitting out an image that was already better, because it's grabbing from masters. It's grabbing from Sargent or Ilya Repin or
But still, it's
Craig
not.
Mullins.
But
But
still,
that's
it's not
Craig
good enough.
Mullins.
Uh,
I mean, it can be, if you use it right. You can manipulate it and paint into it yourself, and then present it as your own work.
no, I mean just to learn from it, not and as your
I
work.
don't know. I don't know. I think it could be very confusing to learn from it,
Hmm.
from AI generated art. It
Okay.
doesn't pay respect to the things we know as artists well enough, good enough. Can I say one last thing about that?
Yeah.
If AI if AI had a process, like, oh, here's how AI built up a painting, and if that's cool, that could be something we can learn from. But otherwise, we're just, I mean, typing in prompts to get stuff. So I don't.
Hmm.
Maybe it'll teach you how to do prompts better, but I don't understand that. So
Hmm. Next question from Martin Nov Art. What are the pillars for a good composition in your opinion? Your thoughts when composing?
oh man, that's a really good question. I think the story you're telling through light, color, blocking. Yeah, I would say how you place your characters, how you're telling the story, and lighting encompasses values and color. Yeah, everything all at once, pretty much. That's pillars of good composition. I wonder if that makes sense.
Studio Binder has a lot of composition.
Oh yeah, really brilliant stuff.
Okay, next question from Royal Spike. Before you draw the composition and plot, what are you relying on?
Feeling and emotion. Um, you know, where I guess the story, before I draw whatever I'm doing, it's about the content, the story, what I'm trying to say, and what I want the audience to feel, which means it's like, what's the strongest feeling for me in this moment. So yeah.
Next question from Musa Donson. Are there any entry level jobs for keyframe art in the film industry? If not, what experience is needed?
I I think so. I There are. I don't know off the top of my head where, but there definitely are now more than ever. You sort of you're almost expected to be able to do that. I think I might be wrong, but because I mean sometimes people don't do keyframes, but you know they do everything else. But listen, I don't mean to confuse that answer, but to keep it simple, yeah, there are entry level. You can definitely make a portfolio of just keyframes and show skill sets that you can do character, vehicle designs, everything else in a keyframe environments. So yeah, I'd like to say there are.
Okay.
That's awkward way to answer it, but yeah.
Okay. From William Notch. Did your painting skills arrive to where they are more from cinema studies or plein air?
Uh, I would say both plein air and cinema studies. Doing both is very, very helpful, equally helpful.
Did you start first with plein air and then cinema studies, or did you do them
I
at the same
I
time?
started with plein air and then I started doing cinema studies and then I go back to plein air.
So back and
Yeah.
forth, back and forth.
Yeah, back and forth, back and forth.
Okay, back and forth, back and forth. There's a kitten behind you.
I know. Look at her. Hey. Oh, all
There's a
right.
kitten. Okay, next question from AJ Vargas.
Oh, AJ.
Is it
Hey,
his last
AJ.
name is Vargas?
It's AJ. Yeah, Vargas. Yeah.
Your favorite Marvel Studio keyframe you worked on?
Oh, jeez. Oh my God, that is a hard one. All right, if I was gonna pick one, it's probably Spider-Man. S-
I'll probably show the keyframe
Homecoming.
here.
This one.
Pow!
Pow. Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
I mean, everything I've worked on with them has been a lot of fun. So that's a really hard one to answer.
Final question from Thomas Grusman. How do you balance your work and life?
Oh my God,
Difficult question.
that is a difficult thing. Um, how do I balance my work and life? Uh, by trying really hard to balance it. I think better time management helps a lot, and listening to my wife helps a lot to balance my work and life, and paying
And
attention to the things around me, like the house and the plants that and the trees that I have to water in the back, and to our kitten, and just to my health, working out, making it a goal to be in good shape. It forces you to sort of like, all right, set some time aside to do these things. You gotta, man. Otherwise, I feel like if I don't do that and I just work, it'll really bite me in the ass, as people say, health wise, and it makes it, you know, if all I do is work, we communicate less. If all I
all
do
you
is
do is
work,
work.
I see I see my cat less.
But
It's
all you
it's
do is
hard.
work. You're actually not that
So
great in balancing. But who is? I don't
I
know. Probably
I'm trying.
sometimes you forget to eat, sometimes you don't brush your teeth. And then fall asleep on the floor. Just kidding. But the important stuff, like you have your important stuff that you shouldn't forget, which is of course feeding the cat, watering the plants, because that's a living being. If you don't do that, they're gonna die.
It has been great to like sort of step outside for breaks and go outside and work outside of our offices, you and I. When we do that, it sort of gives a little bit of a refreshment and a balance. It inspires it inspires us to like separate and remember to be a part of nature, for example, or to appreciate the time and life that we have.
Sometimes we go out in restaurants or coffee shops to enjoy life, but yet we're out there so that we could breathe, but then we just work in a different place. So after eating, we work. So I don't know if that's balance.
But that can be fun. I think it's about um you start by taking breaks and considering the other aspects of your life. That's a good way to like start making a mental note, or even physically on paper, of like what you should do, like
You know,
real priorities, like health wise. Like after this podcast, I'm going to go work out because I need to make it a thing.
a habit.
How? It's going to be entirely up to you. You live your life differently from
Test,
how other people live.
what's it called? Test and error. Trial
Trial
and
and error.
error.
Yeah.
It's not like you have all these time in the world, so you can't do everything. All right. So, final thoughts before we end this podcast. What are your final thoughts?
Follow the thing you really love to do as an artist. Um, Follow your dream and don't give up on it. Don't, because you're alive now. You're active now. Don't think about the past, what you could have done or whatever, and don't think that it's too late. There's no too late. You're doing it now, and so do it now. Do whatever you want to do to get to where you want to get to. Just follow
Just
your
do it,
dream.
Nike.
Just do it.
Just want to thank all you guys and girls for watching until the end of this podcast. We really appreciate it. We put our heart and soul in making this. It's not easy. Also, putting this in our list to do also makes work and life balance kind of, whatever that word is. Not, I guess, because that's different.
It doesn't sound good, but
Oh, no.
sounds a little better.
Mm.
You mean varied. It's varied and exciting.
Because the
right? Yeah.
Okay, anyway. Changing the subject. Thank you so much. We really, really appreciate you. And come back, see us again, and check out our next podcast. Why my voice today? Podcast.
That was cool though. Keep that.
Podcast. And enjoy our topics for the next one. All right. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment down below. And if you really love it, you could watch it again.
Watch it again.
See you guys again. We love you guys.
Bye, everybody.